Hola, mi gente. How are you? I hope you guys are all doing fine and are highly favored and blessed and having a wonderful weekend. Well, for me, I've been having migraines for the last couple of weeks. I've had them for 22, 23 years. And for some reason, they've been coming back. But um, I've learned to survive, so I just go with the flow. Uh, I'm very excited for today's video because something has pushed me, I, I guess I could say, into speaking to you about my daughter, Faith Angelica. Um, this is her right here. This is my little butterfly, um, Faith Angelica. So this video is gonna be a little long one. I'm gonna try to cut it as short as I possibly can. However, I will not look at the time because Faith Angelica is part of my testimony, and you can't put time to that. Uh, Faith Angelica was a premature baby. She was a baby that was very much desired, wanted, loved by her father and I, and my daughters who were excited because they were going to have a little sister. So she didn't just happen. She was actually not necessarily planned, but we really were excited when we found out we were pregnant. And at 26 weeks, my water broke while we went at church, and I was in the hospital for a little bit over 2 weeks before she was born. The reason why I want to speak about my daughter is because in the last couple of weeks, I want to say not even a month, I've met or I've heard of two, three people who were born premature at the same time, around the same time that my daughter was born. Uh, and these babies are now adults. And it tugs at my heart when I see these people who were born 3 months early, who weighed 2, 3 pounds when they were born, and are today strong um, adults. In no way, shape, or fashion am I questioning why Faith Angelica, why not her and why them. That's not where I'm going with this. It's just I think that there comes times in your life where you need to just say what it is and say how you feel and just let things out in the open. And I think it's time. My daughter was here with me for a month and 5 days. Faith Angelica was born May 7th, 2007. Um, I was actually told by the doctors that she was the star. That's actually what they called her, the star of the NICU, because she was the only baby who was passing all the tests, was not having no complications, was eating, growing, gaining weight. She was even moving way before her time, which was very surprising to the doctors because she was supposed to be born in August, and she was here in May. And everything was fine. Everything went pretty well. And on June 12th, my baby got sick. and she passed away. She got an infection in her intestines, and basically her intestines died away, and she wasn't able to make it. I still remember uh, this day as if it was yesterday. I don't want to go into much detail about what happened, but I think one of the most important things that I want to share with you that did happen is how God performed during this time. Hours before my daughter passed away, I was at home. I usually would go visit my daughter in the evenings because my girls were younger and I wouldn't leave them alone. I would wait for my husband, my then husband, to come in and take care of them while I was at the hospital. But this day, something told me to go to the hospital early. I was there about 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:30, I want to say. And when I showed up to the NICU, to her room, the doctors were already working on her. Uh, it happened real quick, which I'm grateful for because I don't think anyone should suffer if they're not meant to be here. At 8:45 in that evening, my daughter passed away. Right before my eyes, they performed CPR on her 3 times, and the 3 times, you know, she went away. I remember at one point, I never left her side once I got there. They did everything they were doing. They were working on my kid, and I never left her side. I used to sing to her all the time. I prayed with her and I spoke to her and I was whispering in her ears and I was telling her, Mama, just do what you got to do. And I prayed and I would talk to her and I would sing and over and over and over. The song that I used to sing to my girls when they were little, I used to sing it to her too. And they got to one point where the room got quiet. I saw everything happening. The doctors, the nurses. I saw my husband and some family friends, some church family, right there in the room, and it was so much commotion going on, and it was mute. It became mute. It was quiet. It got quiet, and I remember I told God, God, if you're gonna take her. If it's not meant for her to be here, just do what you got to do and do your will. And as clear as day, and as clear as I could hear myself speaking and my dog walking up and down the second floor, I heard God tell me, I'm going to take her now. I don't know if anyone has ever felt pain in such a peaceful way. The best way I could describe what happened is like that. It was a peaceful pain. And I remember stepping back. And as soon as I stepped back, the surgeon came to me and told me, we're going to do whatever we can. This is a procedure. But we have to be honest with you. If we cannot do anything else, we will stop. And I said, okay. I remember walking out. We went into the waiting area. And everyone, all my church family, all my friends and family that was there, all made a circle. I remember most of them got on their knees. They all held hands and they prayed. I remember standing there, holding hands with my husband. but my eyes were glued to that door because I already knew what was going to happen. There was no point for prayer because he already had told me what was going to happen. I just didn't know how to explain to people what was going to happen. And all of a sudden, the biggest and loudest and most vibrating thunder broke in the sky. And my heart dropped. Because what I visualized, the way it sounded like if the gates of heaven had opened for my daughter. And the doctor came out and he just looked at me and he said, "Mom, we did the best we can, but we couldn't do any more." I would always remember those words. And naturally, I yelled, I screamed to the top of my lungs. There was a lot of crying. There was a lot of praying in the background. Now all of a sudden the prayer changed from saving this baby and do your will in her life to give this couple, this family, the strength to deal with it. I remember they took us to a very nice room and they allow us to hold her. I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of people talk to me about it and I don't remember what happened in that room. I remember holding her. I don't remember letting her go. I remember my husband holding her, but I don't remember ever giving her to him. My daughter's passing has caused in my life an unexplainable change. I remember going into this severe depression for my daughter because I missed her, because I wanted her so bad. She was the cutest, tiniest little thing ever. She never opened her eyes for me. She opened them for her daddy. I have one picture, and this is the one that I have. I was able to see her eyes. That was because he took the picture. She had these hazel looking eyes. She had blonde hair. She was the image of an angel. One day I woke up and I called a donation place and I told them I wanted to donate my daughter's organs because I didn't want her life to go to waste. And the lady, the voice on the other side told me, "I'm sorry. Your baby was only 6 months old. Her organs weren't fully developed, so we have no use for them." And I cried and I told her, I do not want my daughter's life to go to waste. And she said, she won't. She said, "Seed your daughter's life. her as a little angel, as a little butterfly, excuse me, that came from heaven, touched earth, and went back home. In my life, I had not seen so many butterflies like I have seen since my daughter's death. And it took me some time to actually see the blessing in disguise. After my daughter's passing, we had a funeral on a Friday, and I went back to work on Monday because I didn't want to have to deal with being alone. So I went back to work. And that's when God truly, truly began to manifest himself in my life. It took me a while. I never questioned him, guys. I never did. I never questioned God as of why he took my daughter. Never questioned it. I knew there was a reason. I knew there was a purpose. I just didn't know. And I remember one day my daughter, my youngest one, I was in my room, shades closed. I had even put a black blanket. I didn't want no lighting to come in or out. And I was in under my blankets. I have done this for weeks. And she comes into my room and she tells me, Mommy, we have to go to church. And I remember telling her, get out of my room. I'm not going to church. Just get out of my room. I remember her standing at the door. She closed the door, and a few minutes later, she comes back in and she's like, Mommy, we have to go to church. We go to church on Fridays. And I told her, get out of my room now. And she left. She came back. She says, Mommy, little girls go to church with their mommies. So we have to go to church. And I remember yelling I took the blanket off my head and I remember screaming at the top of my lungs, get out of my room. I'm not going to church. Just get out of my room. And I yelled it at the top of my lungs, and I guess, poor thing, I scared her. And she slammed that door. And I lay there. I lay there, I don't know for how long. And I remember that was the last day I stayed in bed. I would go to work every day, but I would always come back straight to bed. For a while, it was like I was a zombie. I was gone. I was here, but I was not here. That was the last day I stayed in bed. And I remember I opened that door to my bedroom. And it felt like God was standing right there in the door saying, okay, you ready for me? Because I got something for you. I could, and I know it's funny because I always visualize God in kind of the weirdest ways. I kind of thought he would be like, okay, you ready for this, Johnny? Because it's taking you a long time, but I'm coming for you. And I remember I went to church, and that weekend, my pastor came to me and told me that God had spoken to him. And he was totally against it, okay? But that God had told him to place me as the church's secretary. And I looked at him and I was like, you must be crazy. I ain't going to be no church secretary. I can't do this. And nevertheless, I did. This is when my relationship with Christ got real deep. Always had my daughter in the back of my mind. For a while, I couldn't see infants because I would break down. At times, I was afraid of even holding them. I still have a hard time every now and then. But I grew closer to God. My marriage, which was already falling apart, had completely fell apart after that. But the biggest impact I had was not the falling apart of my marriage. It was more the fact that he did not understand that God had blessed us the way he did with this beautiful little butterfly, and that we had a testimony. Yet he chose something else. I kept on going strong with God. I kept on pursuing God. I kept on going to church. I continued to live my life the best that I could. Am I perfect? No. Have I made mistakes? So many. Have I fallen and stumbled? Oh, I surely have. Sometimes have been harder than others to stand back up. But one of the things that I love about my Heavenly Father is that He doesn't abandon you. Every time you fall and you come back to Him and you say, God, help me, He's seen you do it over and over again. Yet He doesn't turn His back on us. And He did that for me. When I quit going to church because I was so depressed or I was angry, not at Him, but I was just angry because I didn't have my daughter. He took me right back and He gave me a position in the church that made sure that I went to church. And I loved it. I loved being what I was at church. It kind of kept me in check. My relationship with my daughters changed. It grew to another level. I learned to value life at a totally different level. In that year that my daughter passed away in 2007, I learned that my calling was with the youth. And 7 children, 7 of my babies from the school that I worked at, came to Christ and were baptized. I would never regret those days. And even though I miss my daughter with every inch of my soul, I still cry my daughter. Her memory lives in the steps that I take with God. And there is no situation, there is no man, there is no job, there is no person on this earth that could make me forget one of the most heartbreaking, hardest, most difficult journeys of my life. And at the same time, none of these things could make me walk away from that one and only thing, person, thought, feeling that kept me going, which was God. I look back, this has been 9 years. In 9 years, so much has happened. But the most important things for me was that I grew spiritually. I came to know God at another level. I came to love Him at another level. I came to trust Him at another level, respect Him for the God that He is at another level. And I learned to always come to Him at a totally other level. Faith Angelica. will always be my testimony. She will always be the reason why I keep strong. God used her for a month and 5 days to change the heart of this woman right here before you. That little piece of flesh right there. That little piece of flesh had whatever it took that God had given her to make me who I am and who I'm still becoming. I don't have a husband. That's okay. I am not where I want to be, but I'm surely not where I was. The reason why I'm sharing this with you guys is because I think the last couple of weeks that I've been hearing people saying, well, I've been hearing about people who were born premature and stuff like that. I kind of felt that some way or another God was telling me that needed to bring it up again for some reason. I don't know. Because only He truly knows how hard it is for me to sit here and not break down. But every moment that I spent with my daughter, that month and 5 days, I made sure she knew I loved her. And I know she made sure that she loved me. So I'm gonna leave you with I'm gonna leave you with this. Time is precious. Some people come into your life for a season, some for longer than others. But every single person that comes into your life has a purpose in it. You could meet someone for 5 minutes at the bus stop. And every single person has a reason to be there. Don't take for granted those moments with those people, regardless of who they are. Even the ones that make you want to just give them a piece of your mind. Everything has a purpose in this life. Don't take for granted those precious moments, good or bad. Even through my sorrow, even through my grieving of my daughter, I learned to see God through them, through that dark time. Don't take that for granted, people. Love when you could love. Say when you love. Don't be afraid of telling anyone you love them just because they're going to reject you. It's fine. Let them reject you. Let them hate you for it. Let them not care that you love them. But you say it because life is precious. Time is precious and nobody owns it but God. And you would never know if you never do. God is an amazing God. He could take the messiest part of your life and make it one of the most incredible testimonies. And I give thanks to God for that. Mi gente, be blessed. And I truly, truly mean it from the bottom of my heart. I love you guys for listening to me. Ciao. See you next time. And remember, time is very precious. Don't take it for granted. Ciao, gente.